Everyone, it's Coco Nomad here, and I want to talk about apps that digital nomads can use to transfer money. Now, there are lots of situations during our travels when we're in different locations where using cash or a credit card just isn't feasible. Like tons of places you can use your credit card in shops, but a lot of local shops just don't take credit cards. Some of your vendors don't take credit cards, and sometimes carrying large amounts of cash, one, it's just not safe, and then two, it's just not practical. So I wanted to talk about these apps that I've been using for years and years and years as a digital nomad, and hopefully it helps you. I know it's not an exhaustive list. Depending on the country that you live in or where you're from, it definitely affects, but these are very popular, and I find that and they're supported, most of them are supported in tons of countries. So it's available, most are available to you, and I'm using them to pay people in these locations. So clearly they're, they're useful. So let's go ahead and dive in. And so I'm using a little bit of guidance here. So the first one I'm talking about is kind of the big hit on the block, and that's PayPal. PayPal is a huge app. It's very popular. It's been around for a long time. Everybody doesn't love it, of course. It's had a weird history, fraught with like being sued and having issues with people, so with them holding money in accounts. But that's partially because of some of the nefarious things people were doing in those accounts, but partially not. So it's one of those things where I use it, and my main reason for using it is that I pay on a lot of websites online, and I don't want to give my credit card information. So I basically use the PayPal as like a buffer in between, so I can just pay via PayPal. Costs a little bit more. Sometimes there's like fees or whatnot, but for me, it's worth the convenience, and it's just worth not having to give up my credit card information. I just don't like having it there. Now, if you have a credit card and it allows you to create virtual numbers, pause for a second for this street vendor here. This is one of the great things about living in Mexico. Uh, if you have a credit card that allows you to create virtual numbers, I would encourage you to do it. After a while, though, that gets a little unwieldy, so I tend to only keep that for ones that I'm using a lot. I do have certain things that I do pay on PayPal that are recurring payments, and that's because they're mostly charities, and they're charities that's how they accept payment, and so it just makes it easy for me to do that, to just set a monthly payment amount, and then I set it and forget it, and they can get the money that I want them to have every month. So, and that goes through PayPal. Um, I have been paid through PayPal as well. I've had clients to pay me through PayPal if it's more convenient. It's not my preferred way to receive payment, but I meet people where they are. And if a client says that that's the easiest way to pay it, I want to get paid. I've had enough of a history of waiting a long, long time to get my money. So I am definitely willing to give up a few bucks to get my money sooner rather than later. So when I transfer money from PayPal to my bank account, there is a $10 transfer fee for the instant transfer. Like if I wanted to wait a few days, then of course, like I don't think they charge for that, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's no charge, but it's definitely a $10 instant transfer fee. And you find that that's the same thing with PayPal and another one we'll talk about. It's because they own by the same company. So there's that. And so PayPal, if it's available, supported in over 200 countries, probably kind of like I said, the elephant in the room, the big one, the big hit on the block. So then we go to another company that is owned by PayPal, and I think it was an acquisition, if I'm not mistaken, and this is Venmo. And then their whole marketing is fast, easy social payments. And so I use this to transfer to individuals and businesses, mostly individuals, friends that I'm traveling with, or friends that I encounter while I'm on the road. And this typically happens in the form of we're all going out to dinner, and there's like 8 to 10 of us, and then there's a check that comes. And rather than trying to get them to split the check, because some places won't, and for sometimes it's just a hassle, one person will just put the bill on their credit card, and they'll get the points, of course. So that's typically how we do that. You get the points, and then everybody else just Venmos, and it's very fast. Like you can conclude this while you're still at the table, while you're settling the bill. So it's really easy. It's really fast. I also have had clients that pay me via Venmo as well. So it's also really quick, and I've gotten payments that way. Same $10 instant transfer fee to my bank. Again, there's a $3,000 limit on that though, because I've had some payments that have been larger than $3,000, and I'd like to move all the money at once, so I end up getting that double whammy. In that case, depending on how quickly you need that money in some other places, you might want to opt for the slower transfer so you don't have to incur that $10 fee. But it is a max. I think it's like a percentage, and it's a max up to $10 is what that is. But that $3,000 limit is there as well. So just wanted to be sure you understand that that's there as well. The problem with Venmo, though, it is US only. So I can only do this with my U.S. based friends or people who have bank accounts, U.S. bank accounts, essentially that they created their Venmo accounts from. If not, we have to find some other way to transfer that money. And that leads into the next app that I use. I was introduced to this one in 2017 when I was in Estonia. I was working at I was in a co-working space, and I needed to pay for the co-working space, and they didn't do PayPal, and I didn't. They didn't do Venmo, and I just didn't have the local currency cash on me because I was paying with credit cards locally in restaurants and whatnot. And so they introduced me to Wise, and a company that was actually founded in Estonia, which is really interesting. So I set it up, and you can pay and receive payments like a local, basically, in up to 10 countries. You can set up the 10 countries that you want to receive the payments in. And it works a little bit differently. The way that they transfer the money, they have a great model, some graphics on their website. So basically, they send the money to real exchange rate, and they're able to do that because they don't transfer directly. They sort of kind of go through intermediaries and move funds around. So it's really nice. And then I have clients, for instance, like in the past year, like based out of the UK instead of based out of the US. And so that really helps because now I prefer to have my clients pay me using Wise. Now the name used to be TransferWise, but they just rebranded, I think this year, earlier this year, a couple of months ago, and now they're called Wise, but they were formerly called TransferWise. And I really love it. I paid my roommates. I have European-based roommates when we've gotten like a place together or like side trips and somebody picks up the tickets. It's just easy to pay someone in up to 65 countries. So it's a lot more coverage than like a Zoom. So it's great, and I prefer it over PayPal. Which brings me to another tool, which is called, I said the Venmo, I didn't mean Zoom. Zoom is the product we want to talk about now. And that's Zoom with an X, not Zoom with a Z. Because I know we use Zoom for like our video chats, video calls, and things like that. But this is Zoom with an X. And this is another fast, easy money transfer. I use it a lot here in Mexico. I use it a lot in Latin America in general. And I use it to pay for things like my mobile data plan. So I have Telcel as my carrier where I can top up my card straight from my phone, reload my account from the Zoom app, and it's just super easy. I think they're also owned by PayPal, if I'm not mistaken. PayPal's kind of got their hands in a lot of pie, so I think behind the scenes, PayPal actually owns this company as well. I pay my rent here in my apartment via Zoom. And so one suggestion I would make, though, if you're going to do something like that, is I would opt for the local in-store pickup, sort of like a Western Union, over like bank-to-bank transfer. Like trying to get that to work here was a pain in the butt. Like it went through once, and then there was like some verification process thing, and it's a lot easier just to send the money to like Walmart or like some convenience store, and then they can just pick up the money there. No problem. And it's a lot faster. Like it transfers really, really quickly. And just like Wise typically is done over like, I've never had it last more than 48 hours. When I first started doing some client transfers, they were taking like up to 48 hours. And now I'm getting payments same day, basically. It's like I get a message, the money's coming. And then like maybe 6 hours later, 7 hours later, I get another message that the money's available. And so that's great. But Zoom is available in 53 countries. In addition to paying my rent and paying my data plan, I also pay my Spanish teacher who lives in Guatemala. So I pay her using Zoom as well. So it makes it really easy to send payments. And it's sort of like I don't use Western Union or MoneyGram. This one is easy for me because it carries it serves multiple purposes. So that's great. And it's a great app. Highly recommend it. The next one is Cash App. This is another one that's like used only in a couple of places. Like I thought it was US only. I found out when I was putting together some materials to talk about this, that it actually is available in the UK as well. And it's another transfer. One of the cool things about this one though is they do have that cash tag. And if you're on social media, there's tons of people that use that Cash App cash tag like to fundraise. Like there was like some craziness after the NBA All-Star game, and these people who were stuck in Atlanta and needed money to get home. And I'm just like, why did you go to the All-Star game if you didn't have enough money to go home? Like, that makes no sense. But they're very, very free to do that. They can ask you anything you want in the world. We're free to ignore it and say no. But I just see that I noticed that a lot of people are using that cash tag, which is kind of cool. It's like a convenient way to just like be known to receive payment if you want to do that. I should have put one up here for myself. If you just want to cash out me some money, like send it to me, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want you to send me money. So here, you can only transfer money though within your own country. So even though it's supported in the U.S. and U.K., you can't transfer across from the U.S. to the U.K. You can only transfer either within the U.S. or within the U.K. The one other interesting thing that I learned about this when I was looking into it too is they do provide an option now to buy stocks or Bitcoin. Now they don't offer any other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin's kind of hot right now if you haven't heard. And so if you want to dip a toe in that way, and I'm not giving financial advice, I actually don't own any crypto. It's not my jam. But if you are, hey, this is an app that you can use in addition to asking. Maybe you can do a campaign that's like, hell, yo, I got stuck, Bitcoin and raise money. But it's there for you to use if you want to dip a toe into that, or with stocks. Like if I use some other apps for like investing in stocks and whatnot, and I'm sure I'll talk about that in a different video. Robinhood being one of them, and then I have a proper TD Ameritrade account. But this would be a fun and interesting way to have an account, and it has a balance, and I can just move funds in there that way. So something to think about. And then the last is not a money transfer app, although they offer bank transfer services. They are available. I use this app almost daily, and it's XE Currency Converter. I use it for currency conversion. I use Mint to track expenses, and then I have my own spreadsheets that I track on my computer. But it's really quick and easy to just look up currency conversions. I see a price for something that's more than like tacos. I mean, I don't do taco math really, or like I shouldn't say I don't do it. That's automatically running in my brain. Like I just know taco math. But if something's higher than like, a handful of tacos, then I'm going to like have to look it up. Like for instance, I went and bought a guitar locally here, and so I walk into the shop and I wanted to compare price between the different models. So I'm just walking around with that, or if I want to buy like a piece of electronics or something, or I had a repair done to an electronic device, and they give me the price in pesos, and I just want to know quickly, can look it up really quickly, or from online shopping, and just quickly look it up. So it's very convenient. You can track up to 10 currencies for free, which I think is really more than generous for someone who travels. I keep my most recent 4 or 5 countries, and then I still have 5 other countries that I can add. So I have like maybe 2 or 3 that I haven't been to in a while, but I'm really hoping to go back to, or maybe 2 or 3 that I plan to go to, which is kind of the state of where it is now. So I'm tracking like the currency in Kenya and a couple other countries in East Africa, and then I still track like Southeast Asia because that's like my place that I just love being and going back to, and then of course Latin America, Colombia, Mexico, Costa Rica, and things like that. So that's more than sufficient to cover 10. If you want to upgrade and do some other things, then you can totally do that. But I think it's a very handy and convenient app, even though it isn't. I don't use it for transferring money. You can use it to transfer, but the commissions vary. I didn't dive into how much those commissions are, just because the way I transfer, I'm pretty much just reconcile my feelings about the $10 instant transfer fee and the lower fees if I can get people to use Wise, which is my preferred way to get paid, as I said before. So those are financial apps that I use as a digital nomad to transfer money. Please click the like button if you find this helpful so other people can find it, but also comment on this one if you are using some other apps instead. I'm looking at you, Ian. That's a friend of mine who's Australian who doesn't like Venmo. So you can drop a comment there and tell me what you are using. And so, I can do an update and talk about some additional apps that you can use in other parts of the world. Because this really, admittedly, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm from the United States. And so it's very Eurocentric, U.S.-centric in terms of the tools that I'm using. I try to throw in a couple others that I use that are available around the world. But there might be some exciting new companies. I'd love to hear about them. I'm more than willing to try some different apps. So let me know. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you want to see more, click the subscribe button and notification bell. And again, comment, and I'll keep doing this. It makes me excited, and I'm happy to share. So have a great time, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.